Have you ever wanted to find that perfect gift for someone? I had this problem a little less than a year ago. I was trying to find that perfect gift for my girlfriend. And I didn't know what to get her. I asked everyone, and I looked everywhere. Until one day it hit me. I knew what I was going to get her, so I called her on the phone. And I said, Caitlin, for your birthday, this is what we're going to do. We are going to go skydiving. I heard and a hesitant okay. So immediately I hung up the phone, called the skydiving place, and booked the non-refundable reservations. So we now had a week to think about the fact we were going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. It's the day of the jump. The only thing that separates us from jumping out of a perfectly good airplane is a 2.5-hour car ride to Bowling Green, Missouri. Now, if you have never been to Bowling Green, Missouri, there's no need to go. There's really not much to do there. There's lots of cornfields, the skydiving place, and a prison. We pull into the gravel parking lot, and I see a huge airplane hangar. And as we get closer, I can see parachutes sprawled out on the floor. Other parachutes that were hung up almost like a closet with your coats and shirts hung up, but parachutes hung up. I walk into the main office and I meet the owner. His name was Paul, and he congratulated us on our decision to jump today. And as I talked to him, he said he had to go do something really quick. But before he went, he needed me to do something for him. And he turns and he picks up this big stack of papers and lops it down on the desk and says, I need you to sign this. And when he said, I got to go do something really quick, he made it sound like I got to go get a gallon of milk or something like that. He meant he had to go jump out of a plane. And that stack of papers, I signed and initialed my name over 50 times. He finally comes back, and I take that big stack of papers, and I pick it back up, and I give it back to him and say, here you go. And I don't really see why we have to sign and initial my name so many times, because if something bad happens, am I really going to be around to sue? It's skydiving. So after he looks, make sure everything's signed and initialed. Who wants to go first? Well, Caitlin, it's her birthday. I'm going to let her decide. I asked her, would you like to go first or second? She would like to go first and get it out of the way. And I thought, good, because if something goes wrong, I'll know not to go. She gave me a dirty look after that. She puts on the gear, gets on the plane, it takes off, and disappears into a little dot in the sky. And after a little dot in the sky, I see another little dot come out, and just sporadically moving back and forth. And then the chute opens, and she comes down to the ground like a snowflake. And when she landed, you had to do a landing where she had to keep her feet up because there was someone on back of her who actually had the parachute. And she landed on her butt and skidded just a little bit. She was wearing white pants. There was a nice big green stain on the back of her butt she was not too happy about. Now it's my turn to jump. I'm getting a little nervous now. It sounded so much better when I was thinking about it. Now, I'm actually putting on the harness, which goes around both your legs, around your stomach, and over your shoulders. And the tandem master's name is Marty. Marty is the guy who's going to be strapped onto my back when we jump. He has the parachute. All I have to do is scream and flail my arms. He does everything else to make sure I get down safely. And he gives me one set of instructions. He looks at me and goes, Chris, he goes, kick my butt. What? He goes, Chris, kick my butt. That's kind of a weird request. Why do you say that? He said, when we jump off the plane, you have to kick my butt. Take your feet and try to kick them back like this to kick him in the butt. The reason for that, when we jump, I'm bigger than him. So he has to stay on top as we go down. I have to be below him. So we fall like this, so his chute can open. Well, if I don't do that, we will start to spin, and he won't be on top. So it's important for me to kick his butt. So I get everything on. We start walking to the plane. It's an older plane with a yellow stripe around it, an engine on each wing, propellers. We get in. And when we get in, it's not like a normal plane. There's 2 benches on each side of it. And the pilot would be up there, and a bench on each side. Myself and Marty sat on this side, and another gentleman who was doing his 96th jump sat on the other side. He wanted to jump. The engine started. I'm getting a little nervous, but not bad. I've been on planes before. Not a big deal. So we start to get a little bit faster, and we take off. We're in the air. It's okay. I've been on planes before, like I said. I'm not nervous now. We climb to 14,000 feet. And when we get to 14,000 feet, I see the pilot just kind of do one of these head nods to this other gentleman there. And he walks over. And what he opens was a door. It's almost like a big, clear plastic garage door. And it was right about here. And he reaches down and he opens it up. Now there's this big, gaping hole in the airplane. I can feel the wind rushing around. And I'm starting to get nervous now. My heart's beating very fast. And he gets back. The hole's right there. And he gets back and he does one of these. Almost like he's at the line of scrimmage, waiting for the quarterback to say hi. I didn't hear hi. And he runs and dives out. And I watch him. I think, wow, that is so cool to watch. Now it's our turn. And we start scooting. Because Marty's strapped on behind me. A little bit too close. But he's strapped on. He starts scooting us towards this big hole in the side of the plane that we're going to jump out of from 14,000 feet. We get closer and closer. And all of a sudden, we're right there. At this big hole. And I have my foot on the edge. And I look down and I see half of my foot is dangling off the side of the plane of this 14,000 foot drop. And the other half is back on the plane. And I'm starting to get really nervous right now. I can feel my heart beating, almost coming out of my chest. And I try to ask him a question. It's windy, I can't hear anything. And I hear 1! And I start talking a little more distracted. 2! And he keeps talking, and then all of a sudden I hear 3! We fall. We're falling. Doesn't feel like a roller coaster. Just feels almost like nothing. It's really windy. You're falling so fast, the air feels like water. If you were in a pool and you were to brush your hand through the water, that's how thick the air feels. If you were to open your mouth, it would instantly be filled with air. We fall for about a minute, going 120 miles an hour down to the earth. At the end of that minute, all of a sudden I get this tug and this jerk as he pulls the chute. And after he pulls it, we just gently glide down, just going back and forth, almost like you're on a really slow, easy roller coaster. As we get back down, we do a nice, easy landing. And then Caitlin came up and gave me a big hug and said, "Chris, thank you so much. I loved it. I loved the skydiving. It was so much fun." And I thought, yes, I have found the perfect gift. Mr. Toastmaster.